You see that, everybody? I have some muscle in my frame, but my muscles aren't huge. How come some people can put on a lot of weight and get big muscles? You hear people say it's in their DNA, they were born that way. And that's partially true. Today I'm going to talk about thyroid. Now, most people, or I should say a lot of people on Earth, probably maybe even over 1 billion people, have hypothyroid. Okay, by the way, the thyroid gland is just above your collarbones in the middle and below your Adam's apple if you happen to have one. I do, some people don't. Somewhere between those two spots, there and there, the thyroid gland's on each side of your throat. And the thyroid gland secretes two primary chemicals, and those chemicals help regulate your metabolism. In other words, how fast you burn the food that you ate. I'll oversimplify, right? Now, lots of people have hypothyroid, and they tend to be people who are overweight, they can't lose weight, they feel lethargic, and there's a whole slew of health issues that go around or surround hypothyroid. They're not putting out enough thyroid chemical. Now there's a smaller group of people, probably 10, maybe even hundreds of millions of people, who have hyperthyroid, and they're just the opposite, okay? And they're putting out too much thyroid chemical. And so they tend to be very thin, they can eat like a horse and not gain weight, they tend to talk fast, walk fast, okay? They might even have some health issues like being fidgety or have heart palpitations, okay? If some of these symptoms sound similar or familiar to you, stick around, because I'm slightly hyperthyroid. I've been that way my whole life, and yet, just like many of you out there, I have a hard time gaining weight. But I'm going to talk to you today about something that worked really well for me. No, not to put on muscle and all that, but simply help with the hyperthyroid symptoms, okay? Particularly as we get older, if you have thyroid issues, they tend to really become magnified, all right? But this will work for young people too. And I want to just say one thing here really important, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice today. I'm simply going to share with you something that worked for me for my hyperthyroid. Stick around, I think you're really going to like this. Okay, let's move on to the thyroid gland. In front of you here you see a picture of a person's neck and lots of organs and veins and whatever. Okay, right here, this is the thyroid gland, right here. Okay, this tannish looking, sometimes red organ, that's the thyroid, okay? Right lobe, left lobe, okay? Okay, so that's what the thyroid looks like, that's where it's located. So let's talk about how does the thyroid work. So the thyroid is part of the endocrine system, which is made up of glands, as we just showed there in the picture, that produce, store, and release hormones into the bloodstream, okay? And these hormones eventually reach your body's cells, okay? Now the thyroid gland uses iodine, and iodine comes from the foods that you eat. Okay, and that's how the thyroid makes the two primary hormones, T3 and T4. Okay, let's see if I can pronounce this word here. Triiodothyronine. Yeah, butchered that. And thyroxine, T3 and T4. Now these hormones or chemical compounds, they control your metabolism. And that's the way your body uses energy, like I already mentioned, okay? So the thyroid hormones regulate vital body functions, okay? Things like your heart rate, central and peripheral nervous systems, body weight. Remember I talked about people who are thin, okay? Muscle strength, you saw me flex on my little muscles there. I talked about how come the muscles aren't big. You can still be strong, but they may not necessarily be big muscles, right? For women, they have it regulates menstrual cycles. Okay, body temperature. Some of you may feel like you don't have good body temperature, especially in your lower part of your body. Your feet are cold, your legs are cold. Cholesterol levels, breathing. Okay, that's just some of the things that the thyroid chemicals in the thyroid gland help regulate, okay? Okay, so let's now look at the symptoms of hyperthyroid. Now today, remember, we're talking about hyperthyroid, not hypothyroid. If you're looking for a hypothyroid video, this is not it. This is hyperthyroid. Okay, this is for people usually who are thin. All right, so what are some of the symptoms of hyperthyroid? Well, you're always hungry. And no matter how much you eat, you don't gain any weight. You're often hungry. You eat, you can eat again, right? You might have difficulty sleeping, known as insomnia. You might feel fatigue. Though personally, I never really felt fatigue for most of my life. But I did start feeling fatigue once I got over 50 years old, and I had testosterone dropped off. That's another hormone. Okay? And my testosterone dropped off dramatically. Then I start to feel fatigue. So they're interrelated. You're not going to hear this, okay? A lot of doctors are not even going to be aware of this. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to tell you that your thyroid and your other hormones are definitely interrelated, okay? So you might feel fatigued, especially as you get older. You might have frequent bowel movements, okay? You might have diarrhea. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. I mean, it's a serious issue, right? Now, I've experienced this one personally on several occasions. Heart palpitations. That's where your heart's kind of fluttering, right? And you feel like it's racing a little bit. So if you're thin, you're always hungry, okay, you can't gain weight, okay, you have heart palpitations, okay, the symptoms are starting to stack up that you might have hyperthyroid. Okay, heat tolerance. I never had this issue personally. In fact, I had a very high tolerance to heat. My hyperthyroid, I honestly believe, helped me have a high tolerance to heat. I could handle heat. A lot of people could not handle heat. But with my hyperthyroid, I actually had a great immunity to heat. I still do. I can handle a lot of heat. Okay. Increased sweating. Again, I didn't get this. In fact, it took a lot for me to sweat. So these two symptoms, I didn't experience these two, okay? Irritability. Again, I didn't experience irritability when I was younger, but now that I'm over 50 and my testosterone's dropped off in addition to my hyperthyroid, yeah, I get some irritability now. Okay. So for you guys out there who are thin and you're having also testosterone issues, you also might have hyperthyroid issues. You may just didn't realize it. For women, you might have a light menstrual period, okay? Or you might not have any period at all. If you're a woman and you see some of these other symptoms are happening, no matter what your age is, but particularly when we talk about light menstrual periods or missing your period, we're not talking about women who are approaching menopause. So this is not menopausal. This is for women who are premenopausal, 20s, 30s, 40s most likely. Okay, if you're thin and you have these other symptoms and you miss your period sometimes, or you have light periods, you might be hyperthyroid, okay? Mental disturbances, okay? Muscle weakness. Now, I didn't experience muscle weakness again until I started to have testosterone issues as I got over 50. Then I started experiencing muscle weakness. So hyperthyroid, low testosterone, boy, that is a bad recipe for muscles, okay? Really bad recipe. Nervousness. I definitely experienced this. I still experience this to some extent. That has actually heart palpitations, irritability, and nervousness. They kind of go hand in hand. All those kind of go hand in hand. Problems with fertility. Well, I've never got married, never had a chance to have children, so I don't know if that's a problem for me or not. For some of you guys out there, it may be a problem. Shortness of breath. Oh yeah, I've experienced this. So heart palpitations, irritability, nervousness, shortness of breath. I've experienced all those. Sudden paralysis. No, never had this. Okay. Tremors and shakiness. The phone is buzzing. Shut up, phone. Tremor or shakiness. Not really. I mean, maybe very, very little, but really didn't have this issue personally. But if you have this, that could be one of your symptoms. Vision changes. Okay. Hard to gain weight. Oh yeah, you saw at the beginning of this video I talked about hard to gain weight. For sure, that's been a problem my whole life. Okay, let's talk about some of the common medical remedies, okay, that the medical industry uses to treat hyperthyroidism, okay? So I'm going to go through these three, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my opinion about these, okay? Again, I'm not giving medical advice today, simply sharing with you information and ultimately what works for me today, okay? So let's look at the common medical remedies. Number one, medication. This is probably the most common remedy. Medication to suppress the chemical compounds, otherwise known as hormones, that your thyroid produces, okay? So you get medication, the doctor gives you medication, and it suppresses the hormones. In this particular case, the thyroid hormones, T3 and T4. Okay, the second, these aren't in any particular order, just mentioned the three. The second one on the list here of common medical remedies, they actually destroy the thyroid, and they do that by giving you what's called a radioactive iodine pill. So the way this works is, since we already read here earlier that the thyroid extracts iodine from your food, and that helps create T3 and T4, right? Right, we talked about that earlier, right? Up here. Remember? Iodine from the foods helps to create these two chemical compounds, T3, T4. Okay, that's what the thyroid produces. These two chemical compounds derived from the iodine in your food. So what does the medical industry do? They give you a radioactive iodine pill because they know that the thyroid is going to take up the iodine, just like it does from your food. But in this case, it gets it from the pill, but this pill is radioactive. Well, we know what radioactivity does. In this case, it destroys the thyroid. Now, you can go read all about that and come to your own conclusions, okay? I'm going to talk about that in a minute here. Okay, the last of the three that I've read about is destroying the thyroid by surgical removal. Now, that's usually because there's nodules on the thyroid, okay? But that's another way that they deal with hyperthyroid. So those are the three most common ways I've read about dealing with hyperthyroid, okay? So let me talk about my personal opinion. Again, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm simply sharing with you my opinion about these medical remedies, okay? Sometimes these medical remedies may be the only way to go, okay? But here's my opinion about number one. Number one, the medications that they give are not good for your liver. They just aren't, okay? And all medications have side effects, okay? Or at least almost all medications. And these medications definitely have side effects. And one of the side effects that I didn't like, and I never took the medication, but I read about it, is they're bad for your liver. Some of them are really bad for your liver, okay? So that didn't appeal to me at all. Number two and three, I mean, come on. Destroy my thyroid? No thanks, okay? I don't want my thyroid destroyed. It may not be working properly, but it still works, okay? So none of these medical remedies appeal to me at all. Now, for some people, maybe that's the only way to go. Okay, but I didn't like any of these options. So I began to do some research. So let's talk about what research that I found. Now, I'm only listing one of the articles here, but there are tons of articles. Just go to your favorite search engine and do research on thyroid. So you can look at this particular link right here. This is really kind of the official research that was done on the NCBI website. Okay, and you could Google this or just put this link straight in there. Okay, pause the video, type it in. And this particular link just going to give you an abstract, like a summary. But you can do some research and dig deeper into this particular study, this research, and a lot of other articles that talk about this research, okay? So what came out of this research? Well, what came out of this research is ends up being what works for me, okay? It's called... I think I'm going to pronounce this right, L-Carnitine. Okay, and what is that? Well, it's an amino acid. Okay, but it's known as a quaternary ammonium. Okay, ammonium, sorry. A quaternary ammonium compound involved in metabolism in most mammals, plants, and some bacteria. Well, what do you know? I mean, this particular amino acid, and I believe it is an amino acid, okay, is involved in the metabolism. What a coincidence, right? So what did they find out? You know, I'm kind of jumping back and forth between research and what works for me, but what did they find out in this research? Well, they found out that in the research, okay, that this particular amino acid was elevated in the urine of the people that they had involved in this research study. You know, they did the whole double-blind test and placebo thing, and some got the amino acids, some didn't, and it's a very thorough research protocol. It wasn't sloppy put together. It was really done very well, okay? And they found out that this particular amino acid, for people who have hyperthyroid, that there's an elevated count of this amino acid in their urine. So they speculated that if they were to supplement this amino acid, L-Carnitine or L-Carnitine, then it might help with hyperthyroid. Well, guess what? It didn't just help. It helped a heck of a lot. In fact, they found out that this amino acid, if you take, in their research and their study, when they gave this amino acid to the people who participated in the study, that it was just as good, if not better, than the medications. I don't know about all you out there that are dealing with hyperthyroid, but if I have a choice between pharmaceutical medications with side effects and taking an amino acid, which your body, I think, produces this amino acid, okay, right? I'm going to pick the amino acid, okay? This is something you can go and buy in your health food store, for crying out loud, for about $20 or less, okay? Yeah, I'll take the L-Carnitine, however you pronounce this amino acid, okay? So go do your own research. You know, don't take my word for it. You can start with this link you see on the page over here, okay? But you can dig in deeper, do the research, and you can find out whether or not you come to the same conclusion I came to, okay? Okay, so let's talk now. Did it work for me? Well, yeah, it worked for me. And I still take this amino acid every day. I just started taking it about 6 weeks ago. So this video that you're watching is, after about 6 weeks of me taking this amino acid, okay? So what do I do? What works for me? Well, the dosages that work for me is I take 2 grams of powder, because you can get this in powder form or you can get it in capsules. And in the capsules is the powder anyway, so take your choice. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to run another live scene of me standing there, and I'll show you the product I use. But you can use capsules, you can use powder. I like to use the powder, okay? But I take 2 grams of the powder in the morning with my breakfast. So I like to eat oatmeal in the morning. Usually that's something I often have. I'll have a healthy breakfast of oatmeal, some blueberries, a little bit of walnuts, maybe slice up a little bit of apple in there, okay? Some cinnamon powder and some real maple syrup, yum, yum, yum. And I'll drink 2 grams of this powder, of this amino acid, with my breakfast, okay? And then just before I go to bed, I'll take 2 more grams of that powder, but I'll make sure I'm not on an empty stomach. Like, I might eat, let's just say I go to bed at midnight, okay? Whatever, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed. I might eat something at 10 o'clock, okay? And then around 11 or just before I go to bed, I'll take 2 more grams. Now, what have I noticed? Did I gain a bunch of weight? No, I didn't gain a bunch of weight. Okay? But what I did notice is I didn't have a sense of nervousness. And since I also have low testosterone, I was having some real issues in the middle of my chest with a sense of like just heart palpitation, or just almost like a sinking hole, if you will, where your diaphragm would be. A really uncomfortable feeling, okay? But since I started taking the L-Carnitine, 4 grams a day, I feel so much better, okay? I sleep a lot better, okay? I don't have any nervousness, or I have less nervousness. I don't have a sense of heart palpitations. It definitely is making a difference for me. Now, I'm not saying that every symptom goes away or it's completely solving all the problems. No, it doesn't do that, but it really helped me a lot, okay? To the point to where, I feel like I can function a lot better, okay?
And you know, I also lift weights and do things to try to stay healthy and eat good fats um, and eat a decent amount of protein every day, healthy protein. You know, I might get some egg white protein in my in powders, or eat some fish or whatever, a little bit of tuna, okay, whatever. Eat good carbohydrates. I try to stay healthy, right? In addition to me working out and doing kind of a circuit training, or even a kind of a little bit of a CrossFit training that I do. I'm in my 50s, so I don't lift as heavy, okay? Anyway, I don't want to get too far off topic, but this worked for me, guys and gals. So if you have already had, you know, if you already took a radioactive iodine pill, then okay, there's nothing you can do about that at this point. You're probably already taking some thyroid medication to do just the opposite. That is to help your replace what your thyroid's not doing. If you had your thyroid surgically removed, then this isn't going to work for you. But if you're number one, if you're taking medication, okay, of course, I'm not going to give medical advice, but go talk to your doctor, all right? But I'm not going to tell you to stop taking your medication, because I'm not going to do that, okay? I don't want to be responsible for anybody giving them directions for medical advice. I'm not going to do that. But you might want to talk to your doctor and say, hey, I want to try the L-Carnitine approach, because I'm hearing this is working for some people. You can even show them this video. Yes, it works for me, doctor, if you're watching this video, okay, whatever. Okay, so talk to your doctor, okay? If you personally want to make the decision, get off your medication temporarily and try this amino acid, you know, that is your choice, right? But I would suggest go talk to your doctor first, tell them what you want to do, and then, you know, get on board with your doctor, and then give this a try if your doctor and you have an agreement, and go ahead and give it a shot, okay? All right, so I'm going to stop the presentation at this point, and I'm going to cut to the end of this video and just do a live video and show you the product I use, okay? And we'll go from there.
Okay, I just wanted to share with you at the end of this video of the product that I'm using. And no, I'm not selling you this product, okay? It's just something that I'm using. This one's made by Now, okay? And this is a powder form, okay? Let me get a little bit closer to the camera. Hopefully the camera will pick this up if I get nice and close here. Okay, and this is powder form, but like I said, I think they sell, different manufacturers, different brands sell the 1,000 milligram or the 2,000 milligram capsules. So if you want to take capsule, by all means, go ahead and do it. To be honest with you, I don't even like Now products. I think they're kind of cheap and low quality, but in this particular case, I couldn't find another brand that sells powder. So I went with the Now one because they're the only one to do it. I like the powder better because it's instant. I'm not waiting for a capsule to dissolve my stomach, you know, in 10 or 15 minutes or whatever. Okay. Now, the powder is a very tart taste. It's like biting into a lemon. So, you know, that's, you know, I actually like it. And in the beginning, I was like, whoa, but I like it now in the morning because I kind of like, wow, it wakes me up in the morning, you know. So I like to take the powder. But like I said, do your own research. Find out what product's going to work for you. If you want to take capsules and you don't like the tart taste, just go ahead and get capsules, okay? Listen, I normally don't do these kind of videos. I'm normally doing motorcycle videos. For those that are watching this video and you're wondering what's going on, yeah, I got some more motorcycle videos coming up, especially about changing out the front and back tire, and I'll get into that later. But for those who watch this video for hyperthyroid, I'm really glad you stuck around to the end. And listen, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and click that Texas flag. It's probably going to be right over here in the corner, or maybe over here. If you're into motorcycles, then there's a playlist over my head and you can watch all the motorcycle videos as well. Listen, everybody, I'm glad you stuck around. And until next time, we'll see you right back here again real soon.